Hey guys, Dave with Gen 3 Tech here. Welcome to the channel. Today we're checking out a ceramic coated glass pad from TJ Exclusives. It's the Cerapad Kin. This is the largest size that they sell, 605 millimeters by 405 millimeters. And it's a pretty interesting pad. I've enjoyed my time with it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this review. First off, I'd like to thank TJ Exclusives for providing this ceramic pad for my evaluation of this review. It's a large pad, as you can see. This is the most expensive one that they sell, actually. It's 605 by 405 millimeters. And if I was purchasing this myself, I would have gotten a smaller one, about like this probably. I had to actually take off the number pad off my keyboard for it to fit perfectly on my desk. So for me, it doesn't work being this large, but for other people, especially if you use just a small 60% keyboard and you don't use up a lot of space on the mouse, maybe you could do your keyboard and mouse on there. Or if you have a much larger desk and you're someone who does a lot of arm sweeping, then yeah, this size might be appropriate for you. But for me, I would have preferred something smaller, but that's not going to affect my evaluation of this pad whatsoever. Anyways, this is the successor to the original Cerapad. This is a Cerapad Kin, and according to their website, it has 40% more control and 50% less sticky. I never actually used the very first one, so I'll have to take their word for it. And from what I've heard from other reviewers who've tried them both, they claim that that's pretty much true. The sticky part, they also say is true, and honestly, I don't really feel any stick on this mouse pad, so that was never an issue for me. So the original was a much faster pad, apparently, and this pad does have some speed to it, but it also does have some stopping power for a ceramic pad. Compared to other like glass pads and whatnot, I have tried some glass pads a long time ago, and they were very fast. But this pad has just enough control that I would definitely call it a control pad. And the one thing about this pad is it does take time to break in. It takes a good 5 days of heavy use, I would say, to break in. After the initial break-in period, the pad still has very low initial friction and very good control still. So overall, it's a very nice control pad. And the more you use it, the more you get used to it, the better it gets, actually. So before I go into the performance of this pad, I thought I'd go over the different sizes and the different prices that are available for purchase. So it starts off at $75 for the original size, which is 355 by 305 millimeters. And then the next size is $89.99, basically $90 for the 405 by 355. And then for 105, it's 405 by 405. And then 120, 505 by 405. And then again, for this large size that I have right here, which is the 605 by 405 millimeter, $140 basically. Now you can also bundle it with a few other things. They have an arm sleeve that you can get a discount on if you feel like you need it for this pad. I personally don't feel like I needed it with this pad, but some people might want one. And they have some cleaner for it. I know a lot of people requested it, but they sell a cleaning solution for this pad for $10 basically. And for $25, you can get your name engraved in the corner, whereas right now it's got the TJ Exclusives logo. You could have your name right there or your handle or whatever you want. So that's an additional $25 if you want. And the color options are white, yellow, and red. So the thing about this hard pad is that I found the more that I used it, the better I got with it. It definitely does take some time to getting used to, but I would definitely say control pad wise, it's definitely up there with some of my favorites, like the Saturn and the Dornfinger Raw Pad version 2. And there's a few others that I'd put in the same class, like the latest GameSense Radar V3. Now, of course, being a hard pad, it does have a different feeling than a cloth pad for sure, but I don't have any problem keeping control, and I can track really well with this pad. So for tack shooters, This pad is definitely an all-around awesome pad. And the great thing about it is that this surface is probably never going to wear down. It's possible that maybe you might get some scratches in it if you're not careful, but I don't think it's going to wear down anytime soon. It doesn't move at all on the desk. It doesn't move at all on the desk. It has some rubber stoppers on the bottom. It's this one's so big and heavy, I don't really want to lift it because it just does not move. You really have to practically pry it up. Yeah, see how hard it is to get to move. This thing's also very heavy too. So it's really not going anywhere. And unless you're dropping like lead weights on it, it's probably not going to break. Now, it is possible it could break in during delivery. I do know that there's some people that had their pads break, but they've all got replaced. So, but just be aware that being glass, there is a possibility of it breaking when it's being delivered to you. Another nice thing, if you're someone in the United States, this is a product of the United States, so I think it comes from Wisconsin. So if you care about that, supporting U.S. made products, there's not a lot of U.S. made mouse pad products. There's some mouse pad companies, but the products are made overseas, mostly China, Taiwan, Japan, and whatnot. But if that matters to you, then this is an option if you want to buy American. Now, there's definitely competitors to this pad, like the Sky Pad, and I have not had the pleasure of testing that myself, so I really can't give you a comparison. But I have used other pads in the past, but it's been a long time since I've used a hard pad. Now, would I keep using this pad? Yes, I would, but because of the size, it's probably not going to stay on my desk just because I just don't have enough room. Now, if I get a bigger desk at some point, definitely going to go back on there because I definitely enjoy using this pad and I perform really well in it. Skates wise too, there are some skates that work better than others on this pad. The default skates on the Final mouse for sure are one of them that works really well on it. Glass skates like the Super Glides actually work really well on there. I thought it would be really noisy and scratchy sounding, but it's not at all. I was able to actually maintain control with these glass skates on here, so surprisingly works very well. Then you got the Hyperglides from Ninjutsu, also very nice. Not as much stopping power though, of course, being glass. Uh, MZ1 is a little scratchy, but still pretty good. I've got these Corepad Airs on my Superlight. Very scratchy sounding. Probably would not recommend using Corepad Airs on there. This is the Pure Track Valor, and it has very large PTFE feet. Also very nice, but it does sound a little scratchy, surprisingly. This is the Fantech Aria, and these are the Tiger Arc 1 skates. Kind of noisy, doesn't really feel scratchy, but kind of noisy. Got the Viper V2 Pro here with the stock skates. Very noisy, actually. And then the Pulsar X2 medium with the stock PTFE skates. These I did not enjoy at all on this pad. Very scratchy sounding. So if you're a X2 user that uses PTFE stock skates, you might not like this pad. And then you got the Lamzu Atlantis. This works really well on there. So these are the stock skates, and I very much enjoyed using it on this pad for sure. This is one of my favorite combos. Is this pad and this mouse. Now, if I had to pick my favorite mouse to use with this pad, that would definitely be the Final Mouse Starlight 12 10s edition. It works just beautifully with this mouse pad. I was very surprised about that. The Atlantis is definitely a very close second. Another great thing about this pad is humidity. You don't have to worry about it with this pad because obviously it's a hard pad, so you don't have to worry that the humidity is going to affect the performance of it. And if you sweat on it, you can just wipe it down real quick. And I definitely recommend wiping it down every so often, just because it can pick up grime and oils and whatnot. And you can feel if there's like little tiny granules of something, you can really feel it on your mouse skates. So definitely a good idea to at least wipe it down before you use it. But I know lots of people have said they've barely ever wiped this thing down, so it's just up to you. But for me, I wipe it down every time I use it. So again, it's a great option if you live somewhere where there's a lot of humidity issues and you had problems in the past with your mouse pads. So definitely humidity-wise, Cordura pads and hard pads are my top recommendation. And there definitely are a couple cloth pads that do okay in humid environments. But this is definitely a great option for you if you live in a very humidity prone place or you have a sweating issue. Now, I've been using this pad for like the last month, and I've definitely enjoyed my time with it. And the last few days, I've used a bunch of cloth pads that I've been testing for review. And last night, I decided to do some one last gaming session with this just to refamiliarize myself with the pad as a refresher right before I filmed this. And man, did I go back to tearing it up with this pad. So very impressed with the performance of the pad and how I perform with it. It's definitely a banger of a pad for sure. It definitely fits my playing style, which is mostly wrist movements. And again, a pad this size is really wasted on a player like me because I'm not going to use this much real estate. I don't do long flicks. But if you are somebody who does long flicks, this could be a really good option for you. But for me, I'd probably just get the smaller size pad, either the $75 or $80 option most likely. But it's awesome that they have different options available for your different play styles and budgets, of course. Because this pad is definitely not cheap. At $140, this is the most expensive pad that I have in my collection. However, I do think that it is worth it because this thing's going to last you a very long time. And you know, you might be used to paying $30 for a mouse pad that's going to last you 6 months, a year, 2 years tops, and you'll buy 3 or 4 in the time that you will probably use this pad right here. So short term, it is a bit of an investment, but long term, you'll probably save money with a pad like this. So if aesthetics are important to you, you may want something else that has a design. Now, I don't know if they could do a design on this. It'd be kind of cool if they did, but for the most part, this is just a gray pad. And the gray, I think, looks really nice, and it goes really nice with a lot of my mice. So I don't have a problem with the color or the look of this pad. But for people who want a nice design, this might not be an option for you if that's what you're looking for. But then again, you can always just slap a cloth pad on it with a design and then take it off when you want to use the hard pad. So in the end, I definitely recommend this pad. It's definitely the best hard pad I've ever tried, and it's one of the better control surfaces that I have. It's definitely in my top 5 for control surfaces, and for sure it's going to last a really long time. So if you have the money to fork out for something like this, it's definitely worth it long term. I promise that you'll go through several cloth pads in the time that you will be using this pad. So long term, it's definitely a value. Not everybody has that kind of money to begin with up front, but if you do, I definitely recommend this pad. It should be in any hardcore mouse pad collector's collection, I believe. And if you tried other glass pads, you might want to give this one a try if you haven't tried this one already. But me personally, I prefer a little softer pad, a little more comfortable pad. So it's not the most comfortable pad, but it's really not any less comfortable than if you were just using a desk as your mouse pad. But of course, this surface is much better than most desks. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for this review today. Hopefully you found it enjoyable and informative. If you did, please leave a like. It always helps. And if you haven't subbed, go ahead. If not, no big deal. I got lots more reviews, so keep checking back. I'll be dropping hopefully a couple more this week and a lot more in the future. I keep getting all kinds of new products in, and I'm always on the lookout for the next big thing. But that's about it, so I'll see you on the next one. Later.